Welcome to Flowerpreneur TV. So we have our sea orchid kit, and this is what we're going to need for building this project. So we need our 5 petals for our sea orchid, the 3 outer ones, 2 side ones, the central bud, and some foam strips, and a circle. So we are going to also need our skirts around our pipe. So they're already pre-cut. So we have these pieces. Of course, we need our bendable pipe, a thinner bendable pipe that goes as a structure, and 14 gauge wires, 6 of them. So for tools, we need our heat gun, pliers, scissors, the instructions, but you can follow our video. You may need a cutter and some styrofoam balls or anything that you can have to make it work, and a drill to insert. No, we do not need a drill. Not on this, not on this tutorial, but we do need our silicone glue or our 369 glue to do our kit. So anyways, I think that's gonna have to be cut off. But so these are all the tools we need. We need our heat gun, needle nose pliers, scissors, styrofoam balls, glue, and your instructions, plus your materials. So we're gonna start thermoforming our 3 outer petals. And we're just gonna put a little heat on the center to make a crease. And it's kind of like a leafy style. So we're gonna make a center. And then we're gonna make a crease like a leaf. Like we're just gonna kind of crease one side. First, let's do one side because we're gonna do this. So can you see that? So we're creasing, and it feels a little bit like ruffled. So we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. I'm gonna pass a little bit of heat over it, and we're just gonna make some little creases from the center, a little bit towards the upper part. So it's kind of like creased. So then we're gonna pass this again through the center part, right there, to make sure we have the center crease very well marked, because that's our starting point. So we're passing this. And there you have the center crease pretty well. So what we're gonna do is now through here, we're gonna pass a little bit of heat through there, because we're just gonna pass our finger through it. Without modifying the crease, we need to do something like that. Make sure you don't lose these outer creases. So it looks something like that. And then we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Just passing a little heat over it. And I'm passing my finger, just molding it a little bit. We're thermo shaping it. So it kind of goes like that. Then if you feel you've lost a little bit of your little outer creases, I don't know, there's too much lighting, but you want them to have little creases. So let's work on the little creases a little bit again. So we're just gonna work on these little creases. I'm pinching it. Kind of like that. So let's do a little bit more. Remember, this is a sea orchid, so these are kind of like a little octopus. See? So, see, it's sideways. And we're gonna do it through the edge right here. Just the edge. You don't want to modify your crease, and we just bend it. like that. It's keeping its form really nice. So we need it to crease a little bit more here. And we're going to crease like that. Make sure you don't lose your center crease. So I'm going to continue a little bit more down. So we're going to pinch it all the way down. Look at that. Now let's do the other side. And there you go. You don't have to have all your pinches all the way down. You do need to have your center crease very well marked. And then this with your finger, very slowly, you don't want to tear it. So there, here's your petal. So this is how our outer petal. So you're going to repeat this process for the other two. Now we do the center part, and we're just going to push with our finger. Give it that little curvature. Make sure you don't lose your center crease. So we're going to do it on the other side. With your thumb, just do this like that. Make sure you don't lose your center. It's still warm, so you want to have that. So you got your petal. Now we're going to pinch all the edges. So we're just going to go edge by edge. And we're going to pinch it. See? Now the other side. And make sure you don't lose your center. So we're going to continue all the way, 3/4 of the way. And we do the other side. If you lose your center, you can always put a little bit, make sure you get put a little bit sideways. And there you have it. So we got our two, and then we're going to do our last one. Okay guys, so we are now going to start wiring our petals before we go paint them. So remember, you can paint with craft paint, but right now we are going to wire our petals. Now you don't really need to. I like it because sometimes you want to move them around and it's a little bit, you know, it's safer to wire them. So we are going to use our glue. And we're just gonna, on the back part, oh, I need my, so we're just gonna glue here, right back here. And we're going to glue it. There we go. And we want to make sure this is kind of like a little bit to the inside. Not too much because you don't want to lose your bends. So look at that. And don't worry, we're going to paint over it, and we are going to do that. Now this petal, we're also going to give it a little picker upper right here, right here. So we're going to try to do it like just straight. It's just a little support. It really doesn't need it, but maybe we should just put it on the outer three if you want to go ahead and paint it. You don't have to put the wire on this one. But, you know, since I like to put wires on the flowers that have 6 petals or less, because they're just going to be big petals, right? Now you don't have to. And here I'm going to give it the little turn it has. So it's kind of like that. See, sideways, kind of like that, a little bumpy here and a little. So we got this little hand. And I'm gonna wire these. These are the ones I would recommend to wire the most, the long ones. When you have petals that are a little bit wider and they're gonna glue to another one a lot, not just from the edge, then you really do not need wire. So. Here, and we're just going to glue our wires. I'm going to paint over them same tone, so that's why sometimes we should be getting some other color wires, at least white, but usually it's green because the petals, you know, they come out with a sepal. This one does not have sepal, orchids don't have sepal. So this is the top part. It's a little spoon. So you're gonna put the wire on the back. So it's on the upper part of the spoon. So I'm just gonna curve it a little bit to follow the line. that way it's easier to make it really spoony. You know, like the orchids have this thing that comes out. So it's gonna be like that. So what I'm gonna start doing is cutting off. We're not gonna need this thing because all of this glues directly to our little bud here. So I'm just gonna cut these off. We don't need these. Although sometimes I use them for easier painting, but I'm gonna cut them off. So we got 1, 2, we got 1, 2, and we got 2 more to go. I'm just gonna pinch it extra to make sure we get it at the right place. So we got this. Now remember, you can use, it doesn't have to be the 369 glue. It can be your silicone glue, and it keeps pretty well. So we got 3, and I'm just gonna cut it off. And right here, this is, I don't wanna get confused. So this is the back part and this is the front part. So this is the front and this is the back. Stick to the glue. Then I'm going to give it that little form. You know, just push it very low. We cut it off and we are ready to paint. Ready to go. So for this painting, we're gonna use 2 tones. So I got magenta and I got coral. And they're gonna be painted a little bit different. So these, we're just gonna do, always try, if you're gonna lacquer paint, use the, always start on the, out on the back side. So I'm gonna put there some, there, on the top part. And on these flowers, I'm going to use it in the middle. So for the magenta, I'm going to go the other way around. On the bottom, and here's on the top. So that's the back side. So we're just going to flip them. They're still not dry. We're going to let them dry a little bit. So we've turned some around, and this one on the bottom part, this is going to be the darkest one. So I'm going to make sure we don't get it hurt. So all the edges are pretty dark, and right here. So this is all fuchsia. We may put a little bit of dab of coral in the middle, kind of like that. Now that we have them all turned up, we're going to put the magenta. This one has the upper part. On the upper part and on the bottom. So you may want to do a line all the way to the top. And we're going to do the coral on the other side. Coral on the bottom. So that's kind of how it looks. And this one, remember, we have magenta all over. So we're just going to spray magenta on the side. and coral in the center. And that's it. We just have to make this. You can do it whichever color you want, magenta or coral. I'm going to do it magenta. And I'm going to do the little tip, put a little bit of coral there. So you see? Now you can do this with craft paint and just with a cloth, cheesecloth, and just give it the tone. So now we've set up the back part of our sea leaves, and I'm going to use a little bit of metallic blue. Let's see how that goes. So I'm just going to right there give it a little bit of tone. The back part, not too much because that's not going to be seen too much. So I have them turning upside down, so I know it's in the center and the edges. Giving it a little bit of metallic tone. And then I'm going to use this turquoise and like kind of teal turquoise and spa blue. You can use whichever color, but this spa blue is so nice. And we're just going to go line by one. One by one. So the back part is not that important, but it does come out. So I don't see too much color on this one. Let's use our color. Like something a little bit more turquoise, but you're gonna go like that and give it a color. So I changed the color. I did not like that one. So we're going to do Ocean Mist and the metallic color. Oh, that looks better. So we're going to do a lighter and a darker. So we don't have to do too much because this is the back part. But since it will be all around the stem, you see it gets a little bit of a tone. Make sure we don't miss any. So I'm thinking about putting edge on the bottom of metallic blue, like just like that. Yeah, I like it. So remember, this is your total creativity, but I do suggest two-tone tropical. You don't have to do metallic. But there it is. Now we're gonna do the other side. So now the front side. So we're going to do the same. Make sure you don't get something like that there. So just, if you are lacquer painting. little bit on the top. I'm going to correct these areas. There might be some. Here's another. Here we go. So now we are just going to assemble our pieces for our flower, and we are going to start with the first one. So we're going to make sure the wire is right at the center. Like we're going to put here some glue. Oh, and I need this. Put some glue here. Right here from the center, and you want your flower to look like that. So this is the first petal you're going to set up, and you're going to put glue on the sides and kind of pick it up just so we know that you're going to hold your fingers. I don't know if you can see. So I'm closing it up here and down there. So you got your little spoon there. Look at that. So it's starting to take form, and just with one piece. And then we're going to do these two pieces. One towards this side like that. And we're going to calculate. Let's make sure we have it at the right angles. A little bit. So you want to be able to glue a little bit of this edge to here. I don't know if you can see what I'm saying. Right there, this edge to this edge, so it can be sturdier. Remember, every time you have a giant flower, you want to have the best, the most glue points possible, so it can be more secure. So that means I'm going to push the wire here to the back. So I'm going to turn it around. And I don't know if you can see that right there. So we're going to push it a little bit up here, but we want as much area to glue right there. So right here, make sure they're kind of equal. So we're going to, I don't know if you can see there, we're going to start gluing, okay? So here we go. So that is at the center. I'm looking at from the top, and this one's a little bit more open than this, so we want to twist this a little bit more this way. But have enough gluing space, so I'm going to push this a little bit here so there's more space from here to here. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and do the gluing. So let me pick it up so you can see how it's right here. I'm going to grab as much as I can. And here, this wire, I'm going to push it in. I'm going to cut a little bit more from it because it just does not want to push in. Can you see? The other way around. Sorry. This is the bottom. So now, from here, we go on to glue these little edges. Make sure it's, I mean, we still have the other 6 petals to go, which it'll give it a little bit more hold. But see, that wire is picking up, so you want to bend it right there. You do not want that sticking out. I think it's too long. I didn't cut it really flush, so I'm just going to cut a tiny little piece from it. Just make sure it is flush. And this one as well. Okay, we bent them. So now it looks a little bit like that. So we got this glued. Okay, this is a little bit too bent. Now we gotta get the other pieces. So, top one, guys. No, actually, I'm confused now. Yeah, top one. So here, I'm actually considering making it a little bit shorter so it'll have more glue space to the other ones. But you tell me, it's really up to you. So, I'm just gonna cut 1 inch of that right there. We'll make the flower a little bit shorter, but that's just, it's gotta be your call, guys. I just want it to be sturdier here. So I'm gonna push it down, turn it around, and this is where we're gonna glue this one. Make sure it's perfectly centered. It's the bad part about the really very little petal flowers, because you've got, you don't have too much margin of error because you can't cover it up. So now I'm going to put a little bit of glue here. And put a little bit of glue there. This little wire keeps on giving me a headache. And then once we have that, we're gonna do the same to these 3 sides. Let me turn it around. I don't know if you can see. This is the top part. Now I'm working on the bottom. So this is a crazy sea orchid, but I love it. I love it, love it. So we're gonna glue the top part until we figure out how we want it to look to the center. So I'm gluing this right here. And I'm gluing this right here. A little bit more open right there. Wait, gotta match the top part. So you gotta make sure it's like a line, right? Look at that. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Looking so pretty, oh my goodness. So we're gonna bend these wires in just a little bit. These back wires, so we can give it a little bit. Now we start gluing to our little spoon and to these other petals. So be careful when you glue, because If you use this glue, you'll have a heart, you won't be able to take it off afterwards. So, can you see right there? Oh my God, it's looking beautiful, I love it. Right here, the same thing is happening with this little wire, so I'm going to put some glue there. And I'm also going to put some glue over here. Here, the same thing is happening with this little wire, so I'm going to put some glue there. And I'm also going to put some glue over here. So I want you to see the back part. I'm just making sure we get this part as glued together so we don't have too much flopping. And I'm going to push it all up here. There's a lot of space here. Missing that it is not. So this is glued right here. These are the strong point areas right here. I'm also going to glue a little bit under this bud right here so I can push this up a little bit. Look at that. Now you just want to do that, right? Because see that. That's a gorgeous flower. I'm going to check where it needs a little bit extra glue without it being too far away, just enough that it holds, it makes the flower strong. I don't like those flowers that flop too much, unless it's a carnation and it's the edges. But other than that, that's the only one well, at the moment. At the moment, because we're always creating new flowers, so. I'm going to put a little bit extra here. So there we go. Now, if you want to give it a little support, you can use this extra little strip, make a circle, maybe glue over it. It's not going to show, but you know, you want to, maybe the other idea I'm having, no, a circle is good. A little strip around it. So we're just going to make a little circle, and I mean, this is going to go over the big blue skirt, so it won't even be shown, but maybe something like that. So I'm going to give it a try just for the wires to hold properly. To give it that little extra support. Look at that, guys. It's so pretty. I love it. I love it. So I'm gonna push these in. That's why I like the wire. You know, kind of like give it that crazy like Giant Orchid vibe. Push them in a little bit like that. Look at that. Well, this is the top part. There we go. Now we are ready to work on our stem. So we have that little covering in the back, and we've got very well sturdy, very nicely done. Look at that, guys. It's so pretty. I love it. I love it. So I'm gonna push these in. That's why I like the wire. You know, kind of like give it that crazy like Giant Orchid vibe. Push them in a little bit like that. Look at that. Well, this is the top part. There we go. Now we are ready to work on our stem. So we have that little covering in the back, and we've got very well sturdy, very nicely done. So now we're going to start with our leaf skirt, which just gets a little bit complicated. So we won't need a drill here, but you just have to stretch out your pipe. So we're going to stretch out the whole pipe. And here it's going to get a little bit complicated because it's just big stuff. So I don't know if you can see here, I have my 4 little skirts, and you're going to start with a small one, right? And you are going to, like that, we're going to glue the back part of this. Make sure you get the right angle. Okay, so you're going to start from the top at the I'm just going to start a little bit higher so we can maybe glue that off. And we are going to start gluing little by little because it gets complicated. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue here. And we start twirling down. I hope you can see. So we put glue and we start twirling down. So you see, let me get it. Let me put it over here because it's always complicated to work with the big pipes. So we are going to wrap around. I'm going to put some glue here and start wrapping. Make sure it's pretty tight because we got lots of foam to tighten around. So I'm going to put some glue here. So it should glue to the upper foam and to the pipe. And we're going to go here. So it starts going. And we continue. Make sure you go around stretching it. I don't know if you notice here it tore a little bit, so you do want to put some glue there. You know, you don't want your little things to tear while you're twirling this around. See, it starts looking. It's starting to form. It's starting to form. That's exciting. And we're going to twirl more. There you go, look at that. How pretty is that? One last, and then keep on curling this all around. And then you're gonna grab, we're gonna grab the second one. So there we go. So this is gonna stand in here, and we're gonna continue doing this with the bigger size. So let's start the next size, and then the next size, and the fourth. And we go all the way down. And each time it gets bigger. Oh, it was about to glue it the other way around. So remember, you want to glue it like this. Okay, so I'm going to glue it like this. That means you glue like the front side, so it comes out like that. So now we start again. New strip. Make sure you continue your angle properly. And we're just going to continue gluing all around. See, it tore right there, so we want to make sure we glue it. You got it. You know, when I turned it around, it tore, so just be mindful of those things. And we're just going to keep on twirling. Step by step, but surely. So I think standing up, we can continue to wrap it up, and it'll be kind of faster and easier. So we're going to continue wrapping this around our stem. Pushing these things up a little bit. Kind of like wrapping floral tape. So we just wrap and wrap. So here we go, and then you still have 2 more strips to go, but you may want to push these up and put a little bit of glue on the sides so they can stand up more, like for example, let's see, like that, kind of like a palm tree. So we're going to continue with the other 2, and we just go all the way down. So now that we have it all wrapped up, we just want to check these last little details to make sure we have our pieces glued, and if they opened a little bit, you want to put some glue and make them, maybe you want to glue them so they can press together more, open up more. So for the moment, I am leaving it like this. This one's a little bit too much. Look at this. So we got our gorgeous, sea orchid. And we are going to put our flower on it. So we have our flower, and we're just gonna cut the back stem off. If you don't have a cutter like this, you can warm up a knife and just cut it. You want to leave like 1.5 inches, 2 inches, because it's very, very snug inside the pipe. So we're gonna leave something like that. And then we're gonna insert it. So let's go. So now for the most exciting part, we're gonna insert our flower, our orchid, in the stem. Make sure you have needle nose pliers if it's a little bit bent. You wanna put them in and make it round. So we're gonna do this. Look at our orchid. Isn't that gorgeous? So we're gonna insert it in our stem. You push it from your bud on the top. Make sure you fix our little sea orchid. And we are just going to bend it towards the bottom part. Slowly. And there we go. Our giant sea orchid. Congratulations. In this video, you will learn to create this amazing giant sea orchid. In this tutorial, you're going to learn how to make this amazing giant flower sea orchid. Learn to create this amazing craft, the giant flower sea orchid.